So here we are at the Lyndon B. Johnson State Park. Closes at 10 p.m., so I think we've got plenty of time, folks. So the thing about he must have been.
Well, Dad, I visited the Sauer-Beckmann State Park, like the little community co-op. Oh. So right now you're here visiting, and that includes the park store, headquarters.
I gave it to Margaret, put it up in Shannon's house. But hers is, mine's glass.
It is interesting, isn't it? See, log, stones, mortar. Log, stones, mortar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's look at these windows.
Walk down on the farm?
These are the homes.
Well, look inside the window. They were built in the 1870s by the
It's like looking back in history, huh, honey?
Yeah. Sign in German over there, carved in wood.
Very, very, very. That is quite the, interesting.
Oh, such luck. It's beautiful out here. It really is nice. Ah, okay.
I was thinking it was just like two separate examples,
Yeah.
but they actually had. You want to walk over here?
Mm-hmm. Bees all over these blossoms.
Let's see. The sun's so bright. There we go.
So, Christina, what are you doing? Huh?
I'm going to jump on his back.
On whose back?
Your back.
Oh. Look how close she is to this Texas Longhorn. Isn't that something? They are pretty.
So content.
There's some big cattle.
This way to the bison.
So out here by where the bison field is, they must have like a work camper situation where you can work here and probably get your site for free. It's probably like a volunteer type thing. Wouldn't be a bad spot. Your neighbors are bison right in there. Too bad we're not a little closer, but there they are. I believe that bison were indigenous to this part of Texas at one time, but you do see some places around that have them. Here's a plaque that tells all about the bison. Large portion of the country was one giant bison range. But then the white man comes, and this is what he does. He just has to kill them all off. The Great Slaughter between 1874 and 77. And they only left 1,000. That's crazy. Wow. And there's a statue of one. What's that made out of? Hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an aluminum bison.
It'll last forever.
It's a lightweight bison.
So what you doing, Doug?
The neighbors of LBJ.
Yep.
Going through the gate, but I wanted to show.
So they have a weight on it, basically.
Yeah.
It closes it tight because it's heading downhill. That's pretty cool.
It's got some tension on it with that weight on it.
Yeah.
It's an old pump.
You know, those Germans are very creative,
Doesn't it
weren't
look
they?
like an old pump?
Yeah. Creative, huh?
Yeah. That's some old looking timber right there.
Yeah. So I love these fences like this, a split rail fence. Very cool. So they have animals that are roaming around here. So that's why they ask you to keep the gates closed. It's a beautiful day here in Texas.
You go right there.
So they've got their garden going here. Isn't that cool? So they actually work this like a farm. They have they have staff that actually dress in period, and they are out farming, either in the garden, tending to the animals, cooking. That's very cool. Looking back from where we walked up from. So here's a water trough for the animals. We have cows, sheep, big sheep too. Look at that one on the right. That one right there is huge and fluffy. You're seeing how pretty it is here. I like how they use the horseshoes to hold up the metal rods there.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat. Look at all the old equipment. What a nice barn. Saddles, tech room.
This is where they bring in the horses, sheep that have saddles, Matthew. They put those saddles on the horse. See, right here. Come and see how many of them. They put those saddles on the horses and you sit on the saddle. Wow.
Look at this barn. We were just inside it. I don't know if I videoed inside it or not. I was taking a bunch of pictures, so. There's a little cow out here sleeping. It's a beautiful day. He's hanging out in the shade. But look at this water trough. Is that amazing or what? I love it. All limestone. Absolutely perfect day. Ah, the sun. The grand got it.
We'll do the best we can.
There you go. But we're trying to show you life about 1918, so in the World War I time period. Now, LBJ never lived here. These were his friends and neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically seeing what LBJ would have been seeing when he was about 10 years old visiting his neighbors.
Okay.
Now, the farm here, there's 4 of us that work here full-time. A number of volunteers come and go throughout the years. Now, while we're here, we're doing everything like they would have been doing. So we're milking a cow every day by hand. We're cooking the noon meal every day on a wood-burning cook stove in the kitchen here. We're growing and raising everything they would have been growing in our garden. We do our own meat butchering, process our own meat, cure it, make our own ham, bacon, sausage, blood sausage, liver sausage, head cheese, all that stuff. And that's what we use to cook and eat throughout the year. So that way you come here, you're smelling what they were cooking on the wood stove. You're seeing what they were growing in the garden. You're seeing how they preserved all their meat and vegetables throughout the year. So our oldest structure is actually this one right here behind me, the stone and log building. This goes back to 1869, built by Johann Friedrich Sauer and his wife when they moved out here with their 4 kids. Now, they were originally born in Germany. As children, immigrated to Texas with their parents, married, started a family in Fredericksburg, and then moved out here in 1869 to become cotton farmers. That was their big American dream. Now, during the 1870s, they added on the 3 additional rooms to this cabin, as they were also adding on to the family. By 1881, they had their 10th child, so 10 kids, and mom and dad living in this little 4-room cabin. So pretty tight quarters for a while. And then in 1885, he built this 2-story stone structure right here as dormitory housing for those 10 kids. 6 boys upstairs, 4 girls downstairs.
Put them in their own house, huh?
Mom and dad had the house back to themselves. Get the kids out of the house. So. And then they also built the smokehouse back here behind me and this tank house right here. Also has to pass his trade down as a stonemason to his sons. Now, they lived here as it was like this until 1900. At that time, the Sauers decided to sell the farm because all their kids grew up, moved away, so they lost their labor force for the farm. So that was the main reason they sold. So they went and moved in with their oldest son, who lived about 60 miles west of here in Doss, just to help raise their grandkids. So when they sold to Herman Beckman, and he bought this farm for his 2 sons to get them out of his house. But they didn't give it to him free. He was like, hey, you're going to have to, pay me back for it. So his 2 sons, Otto and Emil Beckman, lived here as it was. Now, Emil did marry a nice local girl, Emma Meyer, who lived 3 miles south of here in Albert. They lived in this cabin right here. Now Emma's friends were like, honey, what are you doing? That's stupid. Why are you marrying that poor cotton farmer? You're just going to be living in those cabins the rest of your life. Don't do it. Well, he must be a very good talker, because she actually did end up marrying him in 1907. And they came out and lived out here. Now, when he married her, he promised her he was going to build her dream house. It's like, honey, I'm a poor cotton farmer. I'm going to have to save up some money, but I will build you your dream house. That was his ultimate promise. Now, in 1915, with World War I happening in Europe, these folks were raising cotton, and it affected these folks drastically. With Europe entering World War I, they artificially inflated the price of cotton in 1915. So cotton in this area went from about 4 cents a pound up to 20 cents per pound just within 1 month's time.
5 times.
So when Emil sold his cotton crop in 1915, he got that 20 cents per pound price. So with all that extra money he made, that's when he built his wife her dream house. Basically gave her the Sears and Roebuck catalog and said, honey, show me what you want and I'll build it. And that's when he started construction on the nice Victorian house next door with the pressed tin. In 1915, completed it about 1917, and then they took this bottom story of the dorm, converted that into the kitchen like it is today, added on this white sided part, has connected the 2 structures with the dog trot or breezeway in between. And then he also had a little bit of money left over, and that's when he built the barn out back also. And that's kind of right where we set the clock, is 1918, just after they got done building everything. So, like I said kind of before, while we're here, we're showing you what they were doing at that time. Working in the garden, cooking on the wood stove, preserving meat, preserving your produce from the garden. And we also, I mean, it's all stuff that they would have been doing at this time.
And when did the state take it over?
So the Beckmans ended up having 3 kids, 2 boys and 1 girl. The daughter, Edna, she lived here until 1966, inherited it from her parents. And in 1966, the state purchased it from her. And part of it was some LBJ doing a little, hey, you know, I'd like to buy your farm, because he wanted to preserve the German culture of the Germans who lived here. Even though LBJ was Scot-Irish, he did learn a lot from the Germans who lived here. And a way, too, to preserve his childhood, so folks could see what he went through as a kid, having to cook on a wood stove, having to milk a cow every day. You know, how doing that as a kid, how that shaped him as an adult. We always kind of like to joke around. It's like, well, LBJ didn't learn much, but he learned some things from the German. One, how to be very stubborn. You know, because LBJ, you know, he did some pretty stubborn and had a little square-headedness in him. So, which I can say because I'm German. I got German ancestry. So
I'm proud of that too, right?
Oh, they always
I can
say,
be a little stubborn,
we say it
but-
around here is you can tell a German a lot, but what actually sticks isn't much. So, kind of a little on the stubborn side, but so the state purchased it in 1966, and then took the next 9 years to bring everything back to 1918.
Wow.
So when the state purchased it, they had electricity was out here about 1945. She closed off part of the breezeway, installed a restroom, so we had to remove that. Removed all the electricity. She had shag carpet in the house, removed all that. Avocado green countertops in the kitchen, removed all that. And then, luckily though, we do have records of her coming in and giving us detailed description orally about how everything was set up as a child. So she could tell us, no, my parents' bed was set up like this. Her dresser was here. The kids' room was set up like this. The parlor was set up like this.
Yeah.
There was this color on this wall.
Yeah.
This style of wallpaper in the parlor. So everything is almost exact to 1918.
Very cool.
Hmm.
Wow.
So,
It's beautiful.
and
It
then
really
we
is.
opened up in 1975 as a living history site.
Okay.
So,
All right. Thank you.
no problem.
So are you supposed to be a bandit from that time with the
No, I'm
mask?
actually a park ranger here, so on top of visiting with folks that are coming to visit, we are the ones, we dress the park like they would have been clothes they were wearing at this time, and we're doing everything they would have been doing.
Yeah.
So we're cooking on the wood stove, we're chopping the firewood for
Yep.
the wood stove. Normally I'm in the blacksmith shop working in there, but today had some scheduling issues, so I'll probably be in there this afternoon. So like I milked the cow this morning, you know, 2 days ago we were replanting onions, and so it comes summertime we'll be canning tomatoes like crazy this year.
Yeah, so you do all that.
Yeah.
So do you have
Cool.
2 growing seasons?
So this was the first added on structure.
First, then
The
flower.
first structure was the wood and the stone.
Rise and raise and after raising turn until dough has a ball. Take off cross piece, lift out dough with kneader. That's your whole directions right on top of it.
Yeah. Get all the canned goods.
That's right here.
So that is a dealy whacker for a fingertip.
That's what I thought.
So that is a milk cream separator.
Ah.
So you milk your cow, pour it in the big bowl on top, and you crank on that handle so these discs that are actually hanging right there, those go inside a housing, which sit inside of here, which spin about 1600 RPM. And then what it does, since cream is actually the fat, will rise higher inside those discs, come out your top spout, and then your skim milk comes out this spout. back in 1918, that would cost you about $28. Nowadays time, that'd be close to about $1,000.
Wow. We should just leave it in a gallon jar and scoop it off.
Well, see, you could, but that's what
Cotton
we,
that they actually grew here.
that's what we grew,
Wow, it's
was that
soft.
right there last year.
Heirloom
And
cotton.
it's designed for hand picking, so it gets like 6, 7.
This is the building under the water tank. Oh, got a little leak.
They have it at Biederman's Paint.
Metal siding.
It's pretty.
The original metal siding to look like
And if you just
stone
ask
blocks.
for the sky blue paint that LBJ or Sauer-Beckmann used, they know what color it is. It's really thick. It still needs to go on with 2 coats.
Even as thick as this.
And then that's
Don't you love how they have the breezeways between the buildings?
I do.
No air conditioning, put high ceilings in, put vents over the top of the doors.
And we got it out of some of the cans.
The catalog. Refrigerators, ice chests. Sears and Roebuck from 1909
1908.
or 08.
Oh,
And there's another one with the houses.
Sears.
You could probably buy that, I'll bet you.
That would be so cool to look through, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. Pick out a house, Sears and Roebuck
Yeah.
catalog.
So this is a Sears and Roebuck catalog house.
I don't know, he said that, but I didn't know if he was saying it actually was or
Or
if the
just that
style
idea.
of the house. That's him in there eating, right? We've seen this with the bottles used as a edging in Fredericksburg quite a bit. So although this is not a actual Sears kit home, the lady picked up a lot of the gingerbread, the siding, the ridge cap, and things like that from the Sears catalog. That is a cute little house. Look at that. I've seen that horse picture my whole life. So this is our first time actually seeing the bluebonnets out. So there's hope we might get to see bluebonnets. Got bluebonnets here. And they sure are pretty. Look at the butterflies on these blossoms. Butterflies and bees. Whole thing is full of butterflies and bees. In the back of the house. It's quite a place. The size of those blocks. They get smaller as you go up. That makes sense. Ah, the smokehouse. Is that the outhouse, Christina? Looks like it. I think this tree has had some kids playing on it over the years. It's got a little help staying up. This goes straight sideways. It's been beautiful out here today.
Fun to volunteer here. Is this shirt dog chewed?
She's gone to investigate, folks. What is this thing by this giant tree? Huh. Wonder why.
Could it be to protect it from
Erosion?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's totally out of place.
Not beautiful.